The Last of Us Episode 1 dropped on Sunday night on HBO Max, and people are actually loving it. I'm Troy from Marks on TV, and today we're talking about the latest game-to-TV adaptation in The Last of Us. Before we begin, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to be notified whenever we post brand new videos. We bring you new content every single day of the week, whether it's about TV, movies, video games, and of course, pro wrestling. Now, on with the story. I'm giving my personal review of the show, but for the IGN article that I'm going to reference, the link can be found in the video description. Before my review, let's touch on that article from IGN.com. The Last of Us had HBO's second best debut of the last decade, coming in behind House of the Dragon. The Last of Us scored HBO's second best debut of the last decade on Sunday night, with 4.7 million viewers tuning in for the premiere. As reported by Deadline, Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann's The Last of Us adaptation has garnered the second largest debut for HBO behind House of the Dragon since Boardwalk Empire launched on the network to 4.81 million viewers back in 2010. The Game of Thrones spin-off attracted 9.986 million viewers when it debuted last year, whereas The Last of Us premiere pulled in 4.7 million people this past weekend, which, according to HBO, represents 20 to 40% of the show's total gross audience per episode. Our focus was simply to make the best possible adaptation of this beloved story for as big an audience as we could, said Mazin and Druckmann. Quote, "We are overjoyed to see how many fans, both old and new, have welcomed The Last of Us into their homes and their hearts," end quote. The Last of Us has landed among the few video game adaptations that successfully transition from the interactive medium to film or television, even though the team behind the series admitted that some chapters, quote, "deviate greatly from the original narrative of the game." Not to defend them, and I hope that it doesn't completely kill it moving forward, but there are a lot of successful properties that, as long as they stick as closely to the source material as possible, and the changes are more to move the story along realistically and done in good faith, fans will forgive it. I mean, just look at The Walking Dead for years. That is nowhere near comic book accurate in quite a few areas. The race and gender swapping just for the sake of it and not for any real purpose, mean-spirited jokes or character deaths just to piss off loyalist fans, and insertion of political viewpoints for no real reason are things that will turn a possible hit into a huge bomb in short order. Just look at the Rings of Power. I don't see this show going that route though, and the showrunners genuinely seem like the best people for the job. I don't say that very often either. But anyway, now on to my review. In the first episode of The Last of Us, we're told right away that we're in the early 2000s. We don't see much nostalgia for that era, so this was pretty cool. Also, it was done very subtly and done really well. For instance, we mostly follow around Sarah Miller, daughter of main character Joel Miller, in the hours leading up to the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. In her classroom, there's a picture of George W. Bush. Joel's cell phone is one of those bricks with the black and white blocky screens. Also, their television is a small tube TV, if anybody remembers those. Either way, after we actually get a short clip to open the show from like the 1960s, I believe, there was a scientist on TV that argues against a viral infection causing a pandemic and rather worries about fungi bacteria causing a global pandemic. Flip forward to where we are with Sarah Miller, and that's about to happen. Either way, if you don't want any spoilers, skip ahead about 3 to 4 minutes, and you can avoid all the spoilers. We've only got about 15 minutes or so to give a damn about Sarah's character before she meets her end, which is going to send Joel on his path throughout the rest of the series. But we actually end up caring about Sarah, and her death scene is so senseless and impactful. Senseless with, like, the way she died. The show establishes many things within the first half an hour. First, the infection that's going to turn people into crazed, flesh-eating zombies is established. Then, the world goes insane, the apocalypse hits, and it's established that the world is going to become a police state where the military just does away with anyone and everyone that either breaks their rules or they even somewhat suspect of being infected. We flash forward about 20 years and Joel's whole life has changed. His brother Tommy left the city life to join the resistance, and They haven't really spoken in years. We're also introduced to a girl, Ellie, who the Resistance is keeping locked up. We don't know why until Resistance leader Marlene speaks with her. We aren't privy to everything that she tells Ellie, but we do know that they're trying to keep Ellie safe rather than keep her a prisoner. At least that's what they say. They also have a very special mission for her moving forward that we'll find out more about at a later date. Joel and his girlfriend Teresa are tasked with getting Ellie to another group of Resistance fighters far away from the walled-in, military-run police state city. They only agree to do this because they'll be given transport, guns, and money so that they can start a new life and get the hell out of that hellscape that they're living in. Along the way, they find out that Ellie tests positive for having the zombie bacteria thing, but she got infected weeks ago and never turned or showed any signs of sickness. Kinda leads you to know that she's gonna be the key to everything. So far on Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is 96%, and the average tomato meter is at 99%. IMDb also gives this show a 9.5 out of 10. It's not hard to see why. The first episode was a bit slow at times, but it kinda had to be, because it was establishing things. The Walking Dead taught us about that not every episode was going to be action-packed. However, while they took their time establishing the rules and setting up this world that we're diving into, the show gave us moments of action and craziness, especially when crap hit the fan and the apocalypse kicked off in the early 2000s. There were a handful of heart-wrenching moments too. I mentioned the death of Joel's daughter, Sarah, but there is another one with a character that we only met for a few moments that actually punches you right in the gut. It's all very well done in my opinion, and the ebb and flow of the slow seriousness, action scenes, emotional moments, tension, and exposition are all done at a pretty good pace, so you're never really bored. To be honest, I've never played the games, so the people I see online complaining about minor details being left out from the games or something being changed, I can't share their criticisms. I've also seen more reviews of people who did play the games praising the show and loving it. I think those who want this to be a shot-for-shot exact remake of the games are a very small minority. It seems like, from everything that I've seen and read, that this is about as damn close as you're ever going to get to being a shot-for-shot adaptation of the game. And it shows that when the showrunners and writers actually give even the slightest bit of a damn about the project that they're working on and catering to the fans and potential viewers, it can make for something incredibly special. I judge a lot of these things by my wife's reaction to them. For instance, she's dropped out of many shows after a couple of episodes and never came back because it just didn't interest her anymore. She loses attention pretty quickly. I mean, if things don't grab her in the first 5 minutes or so, and it just doesn't hook her right away, she'll be on her phone or laptop or listening to music or scrolling through TikTok in short order. For this first episode, however, she was glued to the screen and didn't touch her electronics even once. And after the episode was over, she was looking up how to buy the game so she can go back and play the games while we're watching the show. Comment down below with your thoughts on the show. What did you think of episode 1? Are you going to keep watching? Did you play the games? And if so, how did you feel about this translation from game to TV? Share this video around to everyone you know, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that little bell to be notified every time we post brand new content on TV, movies, video games, and of course, pro wrestling. I've been Troy from Marks on TV, and we'll see you next time.